Yo, what up, though? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Street Coder Nate, and like I said before, we are covering the bomb. What is the bomb? The browser object model, man. I don't edit these videos for real. I just want y'all to know I be messing up too, and shit. Like messing up is normal. Sometimes I see how editing can be dope and whatnot, but in the learning process, I be wanting to make this shit natural. I stutter sometimes. I don't be knowing everything off the top of my head sometimes. So that's why I don't edit my videos, so I know this shit is natural. But all right, so we're doing the browser object model, and so today we're talking about timing events. So we can say things in JavaScript like, after 5 seconds, I need you to run this set of procedures, or every 5 seconds, I need you to run this set of procedures. And so that's real dope because then that's like automating things. What it's called is called timing events. And you kind of heard about different events before with event handling. When I hover over this, I need this to happen. When I click on this, I need this to happen. Well, now we're saying when 5 seconds disappear or expire, I need this to happen, or every 5 seconds I need this to happen. This is called timing events, and it's just like event handling for real, for real. Let's hop into the lesson. So here we got JavaScript timing events right here. And so what is a JavaScript timing event? Well, JavaScript can be executed in time intervals. This is called timing events. That's what I was just explaining. So the window object, let me not go too far. So the window object allows where I'm at. The window object allows execution of code at specific time intervals. These time intervals are called timing events. So the window object allows us to execute code at specific time intervals. So we could set a time interval and we could execute code in that time interval. That's dope. So these time intervals are called timing events. The two key methods to using JavaScript timing events are set timeout and set interval. Now, set timeout, it takes in a function, and so what it does, it executes the function after waiting a specified number of milliseconds. So we see here we got function, and then we got milliseconds as the parameters. We got function and milliseconds. Here, function and milliseconds. So what is happening? Basically, what's happening is we define our set of procedures in this function, and then the second parameter we say, when do we want this function to be ran? And we say we want this function to be ran, let's say, milliseconds or X milliseconds after X milliseconds, pretty much. So we want this current function to run after X milliseconds. And so you have to define your function. And so some people define their functions in line, meaning that they just define it right there with an arrow function. That's typically how I would do it. Or you could define your function outside of it and then just pass in the function name to set interval or set timeout, and that's how that also works right there. So that's that one is we're gonna figure out how to do this, but it's straightforward. You define the set of procedures you need to execute, or you define the set of actions you need to execute, and then you say, when do you need those actions to be executed and after how many amount of seconds, right? And then what set interval is real dope because you could say, just like you define the set of actions, but then you say run these set of actions every X milliseconds instead of after after X milliseconds. And so this is dope because you can run something multiple times. And it repeats the execution continuously. So the set timeout and set interval are both methods of the HTML DOM window object. So let's take a look at the set timeout method. So the set timeout method can be written without the window prefix, as it typically is. People just say set timeout. And so the first parameter, once again, is the function to be executed, while the second parameter indicates the number of milliseconds before execution. Okay, cool. So if let's try this out. Let's just try this example out. Because set interval and all of those, trying out the examples real dope. Okay, so here you see you got the click, try it, click try it, wait 3 seconds, and the page will alert hello. So if I go over to try it, which is right here, this button, and I click it, and I wait my 3 seconds, it should say hello. So let's just see what happens when I go ahead and tap on that. Oh, let's see. Let's try to do that. Tap. Okay. 3 seconds go by. All right, maybe it didn't tap in. All right, so let's try to tap it again. Okay, I hope that looked dope on the animation. And 3 seconds went by, and you see that we get our alert box pop up right here. So let's just close that little hole out. Right here. Let's see if I can do it again with the animation. Y'all, I'm trying to get dope with this animation stuff. We're gonna put it right there, and we're gonna click it. Dope. A little late on that animation. I saw that one. Okay, so let's get back over to here. And so that's pretty much what you saw. It's like it waited 3 seconds. You saw me click. You saw me click right here, and it's waiting 3 seconds, and then my pop-up box comes right there. That's what set timeout does. Why would you want to do that? Well, as you're programming, you will figure out that certain things need to happen after certain things. And so it would be real cool if you could pause for a second, let the thing happen, and then come back and do the set of procedures, right? It's real dope, man. Y'all really getting the ability to do literally everything that humans do, like pause an execution, come back after a certain amount of time. Let's say you cooking some dinner and you want to come check on it every 10 minutes. Well, what we do, we set timers, right, to come check on it. This is the same thing as just setting a timer. It's so dope, for real, for real. All right, so now how to stop the execution. Okay, so let's say that we set the timeout, but then we don't want the timeout to exist anymore. Like, let's say we set the timeout, some actions happen, and then we're like, oh, well, we actually don't need that action to happen anymore because something else already took the place of it. Well, what we can do is we can clear that interval before that action even exists, or it takes before that action takes off. And so the way that we clear the interval is that we call clear timeout. My bad, I call it interval. So we could clear that timeout by just saying clear timeout, which is saying like before this timeout occurs, before like the time expires or whatnot, stop this or clear that timeout because we don't want that action to occur. And so we call window.clear timeout, but you can just call it clear timeout, like right here. Cool. And so what clear timeout does is, well, first, in order to call clear timeout, you need to pass in a timeout variable. Well, what is a timeout variable? The timeout variable comes from when you call set timeout right here. When you call set timeout and you pass in a function and you pass in the milliseconds, it returns to you like a reference to what has the timeout and whatnot, the timeout variable. That's what it is. And so now you can pass that reference right here to or right there to clear timeout, and this is going to clear that timeout before that timeout even expires. Dope. If the function has not already been executed, meaning if this function has not already been executed by the time clear timeout is called, then the function doesn't get called. Stop the execution just like that. That's real dope. Okay, so now we got this set interval. What is set interval? The set interval method is real dope because it's just similar to the set timeout method, except that it's doing it in intervals. So the set interval method repeats a given function at every given time interval. And so this is the syntax for it right here. We got our window.set interval, and we pass in a function in milliseconds. So it looks literally just like set timeout, but acts a little differently. So method can be written without, like we know, the first parameters, the function. Like I said, I'm not gonna go over that. The example executes a function called myTimer once every second. So you got your variable, myVar is equal to the set interval, and you got myTimer passed in after every 1 second. Remember, this is 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second, and we got function myTimer, and function myTimer is creating a new date, and it's just appending that date to the local string, and so it's is running my timer every 1,000 seconds. And so basically it's just going to update the time. It's going to update the date every second. So let's actually try to run this. And so you got the script right there. Already broke down the script. And you see right here is that we got this timer that's updating every 1 second. Every 8 seconds or every 1 second, this value updates to 17, 18, 19. This is how, and this is the interval. You ever seen a timer like this? Is most likely using a set interval to update the time every single day. That's fucking dope, for real, for real. All right, cool. All right, every single second. Okay, cool. That local time to stream. All right. So what if we wanted to stop this execution, right? What if we didn't want the time to keep going? Well, it's kind of just like what was it called? Clear timeout, but this one is called clear interval. And all we gotta do is set our set interval and get a variable for our set interval. And so after the set interval, we can do clear interval, and then this will stop the processing of this will stop the processing of the interval. It just stop the whole interval like that. And so let's take a look at this one. We got a stop time, but we got a button that on click will clear the interval my var. Well, we got my var was defined right there, and then we got the same little function. So basically it looks like we got this time, we got that time thing right here, and it's gonna keep telling it the time, but as soon as I click on stop time, it stops the interval. It calls clear interval, and it passes in my var, which was declared right here, which is the actual interval. So we pass that into clear interval right above, and now you see that it stopped. Dope. Cool. Okay, and so you want to check out some more examples of timing functions? They have them right here. But as for what we needed this for, y'all, we done. Like we really use the time intervals today. We figured out, or we use interval and we use timeout. Those are honestly really big things in JavaScript when it comes to like asynchronous programming and whatnot. Y'all just really kind of learned it, and it really wasn't that bad. You take these components and you learn them piece by piece by piece, and you start connecting them to each other. You see how important they are. When somebody just giving you all this information like this, that's why I stopped making my videos so long. Somebody give you all that information like that, it's like, nigga, info overload, and you're not even breaking it down for me to understand it for real. All right, that's enough on this one. I got one more video in this series, the browser object model. That one will be covering cookies. What are cookies? I'm not talking about the ones that you eat, even though a nigga hungry right now. But what are cookies? We're gonna get in that the next video. Until then, doses.